right, well, good evening, everyone. Thank you all so much for coming out tonight. My name is Sarah Sandoval, and I'm the large-scale program social justice leader of the Women's Resource Center. In celebration of National Women's Her Story Month, we are so excited to host this live podcast of Them Black Mamas. Before I get into introductions, I first wanted to give a shout out to our co-sponsors for this event, the African American Student Center. Woo! Thank you. And the University Library. Thank you. They've been great partners in getting this event going, and we genuinely appreciate it. Please make sure to check out the LibGuides if you want to explore more of the information for the topics that we discussed tonight. And let's get started. So these powerhouse women cover a variety of topics on their podcast, Them Black Mamas, from relationships to the ins and outs of motherhood, dream chasing, sex, breastfeeding, and their educational and creative journeys. They have discussed and continue to speak on topics openly and honestly. Our first mama, Nekisha Killings, which is an appropriate last name because she is killing it. Nekisha earned her dual bachelor's in marketing and international business operations with a minor in Spanish. She went on to earn her master's of public health with a focus on breastfeeding as public health.
Nobody do that.
See, they're killing me already. I'm so excited. She is a former marketing exec, ghostwriter, and current lactation consultant. Yay. Our next mama is Miss Tennille Irby. She earned her bachelor's degree in media production. She's a Poetry Slam Grand Slam champion, published author, and actress. She's a ghostwriter for For Harriet. She's a member for the Watering Hole Poetry Fellow and the co-founder and director of the Writers Well Youth Fellowship Retreat, which is a retreat for Black girls that focus on writing and performance. She is a member of the international collective Colors of Diaspora, which is comprised.
You know what? It's cool. Like, you can just stop right there.
Are you
cool.
sure?
I'm positive.
I have this all prepared.
I need to edit that. I'm so sorry. Oh, you wrote a shorter one? Okay, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. You don't.
By the time you bring up Colors of the Diaspora.
Is it? Oh no.
Okay.
No, I promise.
Cool.
I'm not. This is as condensed as I could make it.
Okay, great. Then you can skip some sentences.
Well, okay. So
You were at Colors of the Diaspora.
Colors of the Diaspora, which was compromised.
That's what we're
Yes,
going.
compromised.
You know what's going on.
Crystal.
Just let her first
Okay,
Okay, go ahead.
She's also been on TED Talks, and that's the rest she's getting.
Thank you. Yes, it's cool. But go back.
And our last mama, but certainly not least, is Thea Monyee. She earned her bachelor's in human services, her master's in marriage and family therapy, and is a California state licensed marriage and family psychotherapist. She's also a spoken word artist that has been featured on HBO's Deaf Poetry Season 2. Find it. BET's Lyric Cafe and TV One's Verses and Flow. But her creativity and her accomplishments haven't stopped there. While being a regular contributor to For Harriet and the Black Girl online publications, she's a published author and board member of Manhood Camp for the At-Risk Males. It is my great honor and pleasure to introduce to you Them Black Mamas.
Well, hello, everyone.
Hey, y'all.
We're very excited to be here for our, this is our third one.
It's our third.
Our third live podcast recording of
Them Black Mamas. Oh,
We have to work really hard at that. Y'all don't understand. If you listen to the podcast, we get that part wrong every single podcast. So we've been really on point
we're excited
at the live shows. It's been a thing.
Say it all together at the
Yes,
live
it's
show.
been a thing.
So thank you all again for coming. You can follow us on our social media on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Dem Black Mamas, DEM Black Mamas. It's called DEM for a reason, not short for Democrats,
Nope.
but short
Nope.
it's like
Slang.
it's like the
That's how we
what do you
talk.
call the language? It's not slang. What do you call it?
We're not gonna call it with,
Blackaholics? Not blackaholic. What is it called? Ebonics.
yeah, we're not gonna say that.
They
We're
don't
not
say
gonna
that
call it either.
anymore.
It's just how we say it.
Yeah,
It's
it's
what
how
we
we
say.
say it.
It's what we
It's
say.
like dem.
It's what we say.
So it's
It's damn.
And
dem,
mamas
but
is
dem.
MAMAS because I mean some people say MOMMAS. I just want to make sure they know.
Oh
it's
no,
M-A.
it's like
M-A.
Baby Mama from the song. B-A.
Yeah, it's like the song.
B-Y.
That's how you know.
Oh, that's
Okay.
fine. Okay, so you can follow us on social media at Dem Black Mamas on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We are not millennials, so we're not on the Snap.
The Snap
No.
is
So
just
as
a
soon
lie.
as we figured
You
the
know,
Snap out,
it's just a lie.
we're
It's-
gonna be on there.
I tried that for a while, but I was just like,
It's a lot for me.
Yeah.
It-
you just gotta know your limits.
Yeah, I feel confused.
I felt old.
Yeah,
old.
feel old.
Trying to
feel
figure it
old.
out.
You know, when I look at Snapchat, I'm like, that's that 41. That ain't me. So you can follow us on our platforms. After the live podcast, if we don't get your question here and you come up with a question later, you can email us at dimmblackmamas@gmail.com. And sometimes we read email
Listener letters.
stuff that we get on the show.
We do.
So if you want yours read on
Has
there,
anybody
we
heard the
can-
listener letter episode? That one
Anybody
was one of my
had-
favorites,
that
man.
That was great.
We each go through and give advice, you know, like on Steve Harvey's show. I like
Yes,
that.
yes. And I read the letter. Are y'all familiar with Steve Harvey? Yeah, okay. So I do Crystal Peaches because Shirley Strawberry is taken. So I do Crystal in my Crystal Peaches
And
voice.
I don't even like
You
Shirley
do.
Strawberry, you know.
You do hate on Shirley. You do hate
We
on
kind of
Shirley.
hate on Crystal Peaches.
Shirley
too.
don't have
You
one
have hated on Crystal
original
Peaches.
opinion. Shirley don't. You're right, Steve. You're right, Steve.
It's okay
You're
that
right,
you met with
Steve.
Donald Trump.
You're right, Steve. That's
I
it.
mean, she's trying to stay employed.
That's
though.
true.
My God, though.
She's the only one. You remember he was at
No,
LA?
for real though.
Yeah.
He done started cut. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
But still,
so,
I just.
mean,
She
you know.
knows what
she don't
side that
add
bread is
nothing.
buttered on.
She does have her own little thing now, though, on Facebook. She does after the show, the letter.
Oh, so she get like the after the show letter, like that's supposed to be like good.
Well, it's like a Facebook.
After all these years, Shirley done put in. She gets the after.
She
the
wrote a
show.
book called Bitterness.
and
Is Not
nobody
Cute.
knows about it. See what I'm talking about?
I kind of
What's
like
it called?
Shirley.
Bitterness is.
Bitterness isn't cute.
I can't.
I mean, I kind of like Shirley, but you know, I do the Crystal. I read the letter in my Crystal Peaches voice. So if you want to go back and listen to the listener letter episode, you
Yes,
still
yeah.
look like kind of upset about that. I like her. Okay, so we're gonna jump right on in because we don't have our usual time span. So we want to get right to the topic and leave some time at the end if you all have other questions for us. So this is usually what we call our mac and cheese segment because you know that's like the best part
That's
of
the
like
best
any
part of
dinner.
Thanksgiving.
So
It's very
this is usually
serious.
called our
Yes,
mac and cheese
yes.
segment. And the mac and cheese segment topic for tonight is Me Too. And each of us want to talk a little bit about why we thought it was important to choose that particular topic for this live podcast. I usually go first just because, like, I don't want to go first, but they all make me go first. But tonight, since I'm facilitating this part, one of you can go first.
Thea, you want to jump in?
Blue comes before yellow.
You know what?
What? Is there
I
an
don't
order
know
to the
where.
colors?
B-Y?
Oh,
Where?
alphabetical. Okay, missed that.
It's not in the rainbow. It doesn't, but okay.
Is there? Oh.
It's that thing, argiblib, remember the
Yeah.
thing you learned? You know what I'm talking about. Argiblib, blib, blib.
Roy
Right.
G. Biv. Roy G. Biv.
And yellow's like not even on the
What?
list.
Roy. It's ROY. Yeah, red, orange, yellow.
Roy,
Is it-
what's the O?
Orange. Red,
Weird.
orange, yellow.
Oh, okay.
Green,
Roy,
blue, indigo, violet.
what is it again?
Roy
Roy
Bajibib.
G. Biv.
Roy
G. Biv.
What's Biv?
Blue, indigo,
Violet.
violet.
Indigo is in there?
It's up
And
in there.
violet.
And
Third eye, boo. Third eye.
Okay.
Uh,
Nekisha,
oh.
would you like to say
Okay.
why you feel like the Me Too?
So I thought, in my mind, it had a little bit of an inflection. So it was like, "Me too, Mama." So, and the reason why I like that or identify with that particular phrasing was because I'm raising little girls. I have 3 daughters, ages 5, 7, and 9, and it's important to me that they know that this movement is about them as well, and it's about protecting them and their hearts and their minds and their bodies, and about them having agency and being able to move throughout the world without being fearful or without being threatened with their agency being compromised or their bodies being touched or violated in any way at all, that they would not be comfortable with.
I also have 3 daughters, but I also work on a college campus. I work at Cal State LA, and I'm a therapist there. And so, you know, this topic is like as old as time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real. Since patriarchy came into fashion, which I don't know whoever decided that, there has been an issue with women being treated as property. And there's been an issue with men at times being treated as property too, especially if they were in lower poor classes, economic classes. So for me, even before that hashtag started, I was already educating my kids. Like, they know the difference between, rape, sexual assault, sexual harassment. Like, I'm big on that, and consent, and talk to them about it, not just for their sake, but because the odds are they're going to have a friend that this happens to, and they need to have language to teach them about it and share that with them. The being on a campus, though, is a big part of why we wanted to bring it up here, because just like Hollywood is this whole other world, I think, where Me Too happened, and we've known it's been happening, we know how it's happened, it's an accepted part of the culture. And I think that's very true for college campuses as well, where there's like these really ambiguous areas that people stumble in and out of all the time. And then what I deal with a lot in my practice is the lack of clarity. Like, was this what this was? I'm starting to get more men in to say, did I do something wrong? Which is good. I think that's a good thing, and I think that's a good side effect of what's happening. But I think there are some really big questions around consent, particularly when we're talking about substance abuse, like using substances at the same time, and like who has consent and what does that look like. But even deeper than that, and this is where I think Crystal's perspective really comes in, is about like, what are we teaching young men? I mean, I feel the way about this, like the way I do about racism, is like I can work all day to resist it, but until there's a movement within white culture to end it, I'm going to be working forever. And I feel like I'm pushing men around me to start a movement within their own culture. Like, tell us what you needed as a young boy that you didn't get. Let's talk about how people can give that now, how men can talk to other men and young boys about this. Because it's really taxing to be oppressed by it and fighting it and educated. Like, it's just too much, So, like, you don't realize how ignorant the people around you are sometimes until they start to talk about a subject. And so, when, like, Russell Simmons went down, like, because I said, the music industry is about to get hit up.
Yeah.
Like a drive-by, it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
And it hasn't yet.
That's really
It was a slow trickle, but I think something's stopping that from happening. It needs to be happening in violent, waves, but it's not. So something's happening there. And I kind of think I know what it is, but I ain't going to say. But I think, I don't want to put out no conspiracy theories. But I got a lot of those, though. But when that happened, like, I remember, like, his brother calling me, man, this is too much. I can't even go to the club and say hi to a woman. And I was like, here, this is how I feel. If it takes fear for you to behave yourself, I just rather you, if fear makes you think before you act, then, that may not be so bad for me, right? Because, like, I have to be afraid that you won't think, that you'll just act all the time, forever, my whole life. But if fear is like, I don't know if she will sue me or accuse me of sexual assault if I touch her, I think that's not a terrible fear. Like, I'm not asking you to join a gang, right? I'm just asking you to reflect on for a second. And I think that's what they should be thinking. I mean, even if they're going worst case scenario and putting out all this stuff about, people are making stuff up, fine. If you don't want nobody to make nothing up about you, don't be in that vicinity. Don't even be remotely, fine. Let's just lean into it, and you just give yourself this buffer, you know what I'm saying, that makes you think before you approach human beings and just start touching them or saying whatever you want to them. So I feel like, sometimes fear gets the job done. I'm not saying it's got to stay there, but just long enough for us to put in some decent education and coping and, like, real skills, because I felt like it was like, dang, if I can't touch a booty, I don't know what to do. That's not okay. Yeah. There's a lot of things that come between touching somebody's booty and saying hello, right? Yeah. You're missing a lot of steps.
But, and I'm not naive enough to believe that there are no men that I love and care about that are exempt from this kind of behavior.
Oh God,
like having this conversation with men in my family, I've had them say, women don't like when you touch your booty. Why do they wear tight pants? And I was like,
what?
Yeah,
no, like for
that's real. That's
like,
real.
Why do they wear tight
It's just
pants?
all the ignorance comes out.
Yeah.
It's really embarrassing too. Like,
It
you're like,
is.
oh
It
God,
is,
we're
yeah.
related.
Like even, but like you're like, where do I begin?
I know. It's
You
so
know?
much. It's so
And-
embarrassing for you. Got to forgive yourself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'm attached to this person.
Yeah, forgive yourself.
forgive
It's a lot
yourself.
of that. Forgive yourself.
yourself.
Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. And so raising boys, I have one daughter and 3 sons, plus a husband. And I never thought I would be raising boys. Like, I thought Jesus and I had a meeting. It was like, you for girls. Right, because, I've been a feminist all my life, right? So, of course, I'm going to raise a woman. And that didn't happen. And I was like, what the hell am I doing with boys? I didn't know exactly what I honestly, I didn't know how to do it. I really didn't know how to do it. And so what I am witnessing firsthand is male privilege up close and personal in my house from 3-year-olds and 8-year-olds. And, it's why Me Too is important to me is because, like Thea said, it's an opportunity for me to help men think about their behavior and raise men to think that way. I've always had a problem with things like Take Back the Night. Most women are raped by someone that they know. And Take Back the Night was started because women were being assaulted on campus when they were walking across campus by themselves by people that they didn't know. So it perpetuates the myth that there's this man hiding in the bush that has issues and, he can't get a woman any other way. And so he takes women that he doesn't know. And that's just not the truth about rape. And so I get to confront all of those myths firsthand with men. So that's why this is really, really important to me. I have to have conversations with, I had a conversation with my 8-year-old who, he came home from school and he said, I like this girl and she likes me. And I said, well, how do you know she likes you? And he said, well, because she talks to me and she does stuff for me. And I said, well, maybe she's just nice. Maybe she's just a nice person, But what I learned from that conversation, and my husband chimed in and he said, yeah, you know a woman likes you based on what she does. And my daughter and I were like, so you assume that a woman feels the way that you feel. Women never assume that. Like, we're like, does he like me? Does he like me? I don't know. He called, he didn't call. I don't know if he likes me. I mean, he was nice to me. He wanted me to class. He called me.
I know.
We
I
go
hear that
through
all
a
the
million
time.
things. And my husband was like, no, I just assume that she likes me based on her behavior. And I don't.
Can I just say, and it don't even matter what they look like.
No.
I'm not trying to be superficial, but sometimes I'm like, I know.
That's true. That's true.
And
That's
I'm
true.
like,
that's true.
so your expectations that
That's
have
true.
have you met you?
That's true.
And not even just on some physical, but like your whole everything. Like,
not even just
I'm
on
turned
some
off and I'm your therapist.
Oh.
Not even just on the physical.
That's bad.
It's bad,
That's bad.
boo.
But it's not even. It's like no matter how much of a jerk they are, they assume the assumption is like she likes me, and so
She wants me.
Yeah, but I had to have a conversation with him about you don't assume anything about how a woman feels about you or what a woman wants until the only way you know for sure is if you ask her whether or not she likes you. And he's like, well, I'm afraid to do that. And I said, why? Because she might say no. And I was like, but you're sitting here assuming that she does. And you're afraid to ask. So he goes to ask her, and she was like, no, I like your friend.
That sucks. He did not take that well.
He did not take that
No,
well at all
no.
because he started hating on his friend. He was like, he don't even make honor roll. How they gonna? No, really, he's like, he don't even make honor roll. And then another way that, I had to confront masculinity was he said, well, he don't even make honor roll, so how's he gonna go to college and buy them a house and be able to pay for their wedding? And I was like, maybe she's gonna do that. And he was like she's gonna buy the house? Yeah. Or maybe she doesn't necessarily want a man who went to college. But there are all of these things that at a young age
A
that
million
they're
different ways. It's
Yeah.
a million different ways they get it from every direction.
and our household is I'm an artist, so I'm at home working, and my husband, he's a principal, so he goes out to work. And so what they're seeing is a dynamic that's not explained to them. Like, these terms were negotiated and agreed upon. It's not just something that's just that just happened. Like, we sat down and had a conversation about this. So his assumption was, well, daddy goes out and he goes to work, so he, like, this is what
Supposed to be what daddies
this
do,
is what
men do,
daddies, you know, this is what daddies do, this is what men do. And so for me, having this conversation at a young age, I mean, even my 3-year-old,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, you gotta meet him.
I mean, yeah, like, even him, you know,
Is
I have
that
to.
masculinity with him though? I just feel like he's an indigo child. He's just a star child. He just walks to the beat of his own drum.
I think it's a hair.
Yeah.
I think it's a hair thing with him.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. You gotta see his
I think
hair,
it's
though.
he has hair privilege. Like,
He has hella help
he has hair privilege.
from the beginning. Like it just kind of like floated and wafted in the air.
Yeah,
And everybody's
yeah.
like, and I was like, you
Yeah.
got to get that in line. I
Yeah.
see where that goes.
Yeah, and so but I think that privilege can, because he's a male,
Yeah.
can
Get worse.
turn into something else. So that's why this was a great. That's why this is important to me to talk about Me Too on the college
Nekisha,
campus.
this dynamic she mentioned about, like, you know, they see her at home, though
Yeah.
she's working as an artist. I was gonna say, do you have that same dynamic with the girl?
course.
But you have girls, so how does that?
So I think when we talk about, so I stay at home as well. Obviously, to homeschool all these children, I must spend some time at home. But yeah, so my children see kind of that same. I don't like the word traditional, but you know, they see that kind of old school way of the mother staying home with the children and then the father going out to work every day. And so I've had conversations with them about what they want to be in life, what they want to spend their time and their energies devoted to as adults. And I have no problem with the answer being, a mommy, be a mommy. That's cool. But I also try and make sure that I stress to them that I wasn't always this thing. This is a choice I've made at this point in my life, and I had a whole other career, a couple other careers. And so they also should always remain open to creating the family and the life that they want, no matter what that looks like. But they are constantly, just like your kids, all of our kids, bombarded with images of this is what it looks like in a two-parent home. This is what this parent does and that parent does. And you know what I mean? The only exception I can think of is Doc McStuffins, where her mother is a doctor and her dad is a stay-at-home dad. Didn't know that, did you? They don't talk about the dad much, but he's home. He's home. But otherwise, most of the shows they see, besides Disney shows with no parents.
Oh God.
Yeah. So, but the majority of their from books and the majority of things that they see are these images of women. It's an exception when a woman has a really demanding career, and we're trying to combat that quite a bit. Resist.
I didn't think about this before, but now this may explain why my kids may be leaning towards the undateable category.
Oh.
Why?
Hey,
Don't say undateable.
I won't say undateable.
People said
but
that
they
about
gonna-
me when I was in college.
Well, they're gonna be rough. I'm gonna just put it out there. They're gonna be rough. Because I think, well, one, they've always seen me work full time, and they've always seen me do my art too, like leave and do my art. And then they saw me lead their daddy because that was a thing.
Yeah.
And so they know, oh, you ain't got to take shit. You can. They know that you ain't got to take shit. They know you always need to have your own. I mean, they come. I did. They say I started talking about sex at they say 7 or 8, but I did by talking about their bodies first, and then I moved into conversations, and now they talk to me very openly about things like that, and they're not engaging in that, but I educate them, and I educate them about gender identity. I educate them about different types of sex, because not some of your friends may identify by different sexual preferences. And so I always think be that friend, because we all talk to our friends, and friends don't be knowing stuff. They just got bad information half the time. And so I want them to be the friend with good information. You know what I'm saying?
With good information.
So I try to give them good information for all the friends on the spectrum, all the friends I can think of, all the types of friends, all identities, as much as I can. But I think that the middle one, the little one, we call her a tornado. I mean, she walks to the beat of her own drum. We're glad she got a couple good friends. We're glad she got a couple good friends. She's creative. You know, that's Sydney's favorite. She's creative. She's brilliant. And she's excitable. And she gets really attached. And, you know, she could be a lot. But she's going to be the one that they just, like, fall all in love with. And she is going to trash him. I mean, like, I tell my husband she's going to trash him. Like, I feel bad for them. Like, I almost feel like, don't have a crush on this one. Like, she needs a little bit more time. You know what I'm saying? The middle one... The middle one is cool until she know you like her, and then it's like, well, then do something then. What you want? What you talking about? It's like,
I think I think that.
I mean, I'm just saying. I had to tell her, like, you know, everybody is not like a G like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, like, you know, give people in different spaces.
No, but I feel like if you're not a G like that,
but I mean, like,
it
just be like something real basic. Like, I heard he liked me today. Don't be rolling up on him like Debo. Like, just like let it play out. You know what I'm saying? Like, be cool. She don't know how to be cool. The older one is like this. She's like, I don't need the drama. She's like me. She listens to other people's drama, and she's like, I don't want to deal with that. When I get to college, then I'll decide if I want to date. That's what she's saying right now. Although we are like investigating this, like. There's these twins, and like one of them's they're like cute, but she says one is cuter than the other. So we're kind of investigating to see what, and you know, we'll see what happens.
I think what you said about leaving your first husband is important because
oh yeah, they know that.
Watching my mom leave
and
my dad.
My mama left.
Yeah, and you're
yes.
yeah.
We come from a long line of we don't take no shit.
Yeah, we come
Sometimes
from
we gotta calm down.
a long line. We don't.
Sometimes
take
we
no
gotta bring her back and be like, okay, wait a minute. This is part of the process.
My mom leaving my dad, I think, changed the entire trajectory of all of our lives, because my mom was she's a domestic violence survivor, and so watching her walk away from that, like. It was my dad's house. We had all of this land. My dad was the breadwinner. My mom got pregnant when she was 18 years old, so she had never lived on her own. She had never supported herself, and she left with nothing. So watching us go from literally a house with everything that we could imagine, anything we wanted, to an apartment with only beds in our bedroom, and watching her build that and support all of her children through college really helps me to see, like, it made me, I guess I would have been in the undateable category.
But I think that's kind of good.
So
but I'm just saying, like, it's, you know, it's rough.
I mean, people are surprised that I'm married. I'm kind of surprised that I'm married. Like, sometimes I'm like,
Yeah.
we're having a pretty good ride. Like, it's 10 years, you know? We're
Having
having a
known
pretty
you from
good ride.
college,
I
that's
flew in to
accurate.
make sure
Some of
she
us-
did get married.
Yeah.
Were some of you, I was, really? I mean, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I've known Nekisha since college, so that was the word on the street. Was
I mean,
like,
that
not
was
this one?
my perception.
Wow.
was-
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I was a
You
little.
may not get married.
It just wasn't on my radar.
Yeah.
Like, if someone said, "What do you want to do?" I was like, "Well, I'm about to go get this Oscar. I want at least 3 NAACP awards by the time I'm 30." If someone was like, "Do you want to get married?" I would have been like, "I don't know,"
Yeah.
because I was very aware of what that took, and I was also aware that I'm a feminist, and so I'm not sure. I had never seen a relationship.
Yeah.
Like, I think in feminism, a lot of things are talked about, but there are very few books or articles about how to build a relationship, how to build a heterosexual relationship if you're a feminist. Like, can that really,
Yeah.
really exist? Can that really happen? And so, knowing what my beliefs were, I'm not sure that I really believed that marriage was in the cards for me when it came to that. So.
Yeah. Well, my first question I used to tell them is, if it's a heterosexual relationship, I say ask if they believe God can be a woman. If the answer is no, then just walk away. Just walk away. Because how the fuck? How the fuck? Who else gives birth? Who else gives life? I wish you would. And so, like, I mean, it's just, sometimes you need these little sample questions. Just throw it out there.
Taking notes.
There's a lot of good sample questions you can throw out there to find out if somebody's crazy. Just really, if people talking absolutes, like, I never do that. Never, ever, never. Or you always Big ass red flag, man. We don't want to deal with that. It's too much. That's too rigid. That's crazy. Everybody always do a little something here, and like never, ever. And then you double. You say, so you've never? I never. Okay, well, you know what? You have a nice life. And then you go, well, here's what I'm seeing come up in this session.
But then that means people would have walked away from me.
Well.
Back to what we said before. But
Yeah.
here's the thing that's coming up that's interesting with the men coming in for that are asking about was this, was this, is this too far? What is what? One, like I said, I'm really glad that they're coming in. But two, they're beginning to realize that they were socialized too. And I don't think, I think when you're part of a dominant culture, you don't realize you're socialized. So when we try to point out different privileges, whether it's, cis privilege, heterosexual privilege, white privilege, male privilege, it's sometimes hard if you're an oppressed group to understand what it feels like to have never had to think about that. But literally they haven't. And so it's like finding out oh my God, I'm not really this, it's really jarring for a lot of them. And then to look back and see how they've participated is another phase of that where they have to should I go apologize? But please don't call everybody and apologize. Please don't call. Just accept that you were an asshole at the time. You don't have to be now. You can move on. We don't have to be anymore. But at the time,
if they become famous, them women gonna come forward.
Baby, we'll see. Not if they're in the music industry. We got to find out what's
Well.
going on over there. But I got a theory, but I'm not gonna talk about it. But
You gotta talk about this theory at the end. I gotta
talk about it. I'm not ready. It's not cooked. I'm not ready yet. I gotta check with my attorney.
For them black moms.
Yeah,
She's
what
not
you
speaking
got?
for herself.
I gotta check with my attorney first.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's very interesting. And so I even had one male client that was I look at how women move through the world and I ask myself, why can't I just do that? I see they multitask or they just know what needs to be done. They just do it. And why am I so resistant all the time? He's like, I'm so frustrated with my own resistance. And then I was like, but that my husband's the same way and y'all wasn't exactly raised in the same house. It's like y'all were raised to be men. And this is what that looks like. And so that's what I think that conversation needs to, I do hope that, and I know it's hard to figure out in all these conversations about isms is where can you be compassionate and where do you need to be fuck that? You know what I mean? Because, sometimes too much compassion looks like a pass and you don't want to get nobody to pass and it's a lie. But I do think there needs to be a conversation about how we can change the way we are socializing.
I agree. Yeah.
Socializing men.
I think one of the ways that men and women are socialized and why the dating can get confusing, in particular when it comes to sexual assault, is this whole theory of being the hunter and being the prey. So I feel and I was told to use I statements because I just shouldn't assume that other people feel the way that I feel. So I'm working on that. So I think that we are socialized to feel like men should chase women and women should kind of play coy and allow themselves to be chased. So when I think about the situation with Anis, is that how you say his name? The guy from Parks and Rec.
Oh, Aziz.
When I think about the situation with him and other men who don't understand the word no, and we're saying no is a one-word sentence. When someone says no, that's it, end of question. It doesn't even need an explanation. But at the same time, we're socializing them to chase women. And so I think that's where the message gets mixed. It's well, I've been trained that I should chase after a woman. I should be, and just in life, men should be persistent, never accept the word no. I think about all those things when raising my sons, and also when, talking to my daughter about the way that she interacts with men. Are you being coy or are you being upfront and direct about what you want and whether or not you want to be with this person? And so I think that's where a lot of the mixed message comes in with men in terms of not accepting the word no, and just their whole lives being trained as someone who chases after things and to be persistent about something. I think with women, and I don't know what the language barriers are because we didn't talk about the language.
Just say it.
Okay, so I think with women, we're taught pussy prosperity, which means like the least amount of men that you're with makes you a better quote unquote catch, and that you're more likely to find someone who'll stay with you for the rest of your life. Like don't give it up for the first 6 months of your relationship to make sure that he really likes you, or never tell a guy your true body count. And just like, let me tell you, women will cross you off the list in a minute. Like if it wasn't good, they be like, I ain't count him.
That don't count.
I ain't count. That don't count. I'm not counting him.
It's true.
You know?
It's true.
It was small. I didn't even feel nothing. I'm not counting him. You know what I'm saying? Women will for real do that. But you know, like we're taught to lie about those things.
Yeah.
And so I think those two things together, when they collide on a first date, when when a woman goes back to a guy's apartment, and the assumption is, okay, so she's not playing hard to get, so then she must be one of the girls who I don't have to chase. And even if she says no, then I'm just gonna keep asking her and being persistent.
Well, that's why they're starting the Yes Means Yes campaign. Peace over violence is Yes Means Yes, because the no means no thing meant like, okay, if she didn't say no, then she's consenting. That's what men were saying. And so the Yes Means like, but did she say yes?
But did she say yes?
But did she say yes? Because if she didn't say yes, you assume a no. And that's a lot of what I'm getting coming in is like. So because men are of the dominant culture, they don't understand there are times that women want to say no, but are conditioned to not say anything because they're taught to please others, you know? Yeah. And so the key now is to get men to understand, did you get a yes? If you didn't get a yes, then assume it's a no. And so they're doing a big Yes Means Yes, which I think is a much better way of helping men to understand it, because again, that's just like you said, the word don't take no for, especially in America, don't take no for an answer, you know, keep fighting for what you want, whatever. But also, like, you know, we've heard judges say, well, if they didn't say no, then that is not an automatic yes. So now we're switching the language. Yes means yes. So if you didn't get a yes, I'd rather you assume a no than assume a yes.
I want to add in an example of how this can start with small children in ways that we've all experienced that we may not have even recognized. And how many people remember when they were like in grade school and a boy hit you, for example, and we say, oh, he hit me because he likes me.
They tell us that.
Yeah, and my daughter said that to me. Oh, so-and-so hit me or pushed me, but a girl, you know, my friend said it's because he likes me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that starts early. So the boy thought that he was now giving indications to the girl. This is how I like you. I give you a tap. I give you a push. Maybe middle school, it's pop your bra strap. You know, all those things. Touch your butt and run. All of that. That was cute and funny. Are ways, slow ways that they're starting to assault each other. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the women are learning that young to take it as a compliment. To accept violence and assault, as you know what I mean, as a way to show that someone likes me.
Or even if they don't take it, because I was taught not to take that shit. But even if they don't take it, I was not taught to fight it on my own. I was taught you go home and you tell your dad, or you go home and tell your brother. And so there's still this idea that in order for whatever is happening, like you stopping it is not good enough. I'm not even going to teach you. Like you're not even capable of stopping this.
Somebody else has to do it.
Yeah, someone else has to do it for you. It's to say, and I remember my brother and when I started dating, and my brother would like if a guy came to my house to see me, he would like sit in the living room, like in the middle of the couch. So like there's nowhere else for us to sit. And I just remember thinking like, so you know y'all ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? Like you you know that because if you thought more of men, if you had a higher expectation of men, then you wouldn't have this worry. It's like these prom pictures that I see of a man with a shotgun. The father with a shotgun while his daughter's going to the prom. I'm like, those are like subtle things that show toxic masculinity. Like, why do you need a shotgun to protect your daughter? If you think she needs protection, a more powerful thing to do is teach her how to protect herself. You know
how
what I'm
about
saying?
you go to the community center and teach a class for young men
Yeah.
on toxic masculinity so
Yeah.
your daughter doesn't have to deal with that shit.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
use your energy on your own.
Yeah.
And that goes across the board. Use your energy on your own. Teach them.
Yeah.
But instead of teaching her what to wear, you know, how to act, how to walk across the street, how to be safe, you can go to a Boys and Girls Club or wherever you got to go.
Oh my God. What is it called? Booty touch?
I don't know.
Is it called
I don't
booty
know.
touch?
I just find
Did
that
anybody play
terrible.
booty
Like, it's like,
touch?
oh,
It's called in South
That's so
Carolina.
awful.
It's called booty
They're
touch
so
in
little.
South Carolina.
what happened to
They have
like
another name out here.
Scrabble and like Taboo?
Oh man, it's
Freeze
booty
tag.
touch.
Remember freeze
It's
tag? TV tag.
Freeze tag is turned into booty touch.
I can't. Oh,
Turned into booty touch.
Oh.
But yeah, he came home and he's like, yeah, they were playing booty touch today, and I just know what to do because I heard you talk about like you're not supposed to touch anybody if they don't have permission. And I was like, so what did you do? What did you do?
he told them they didn't have consent. That's
He
what
was
told them.
like, that is sexual assault if you touch her. I was like, that is exactly what it is. That is exactly what it is. And so I'm proud of that, but I can also see him struggling. Like, I'm going to be the outsider. I'm going to be the dude that's called, you know, soft or gay. That was his fear, that they were going to call him gay. And so we had to have another conversation about why is that a negative thing? And listen, my husband was born and raised in the South, on the south side of town. He like, I'm just a regular dude. I'm just a regular dude that happened to have a PhD. And so, you know, he didn't come from heaven with a halo and no homophobia or, you know, toxic masculinity within himself. And so they see us talking about these things and me having to have conversations with my husband about how we talk about these things to our children. And so that led to another conversation with us talking about sexuality and why do we say, why is the worst thing you can be called gay? You know, so it often leads into other conversations that you have to have with your kids.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. Does anyone have any questions or want to chime in or add in?
On any topic.
I know we're pretty. You see,
Jump
like
around.
it's pretty straightforward.
Is it okay for us to raise our hand, like, if you say something that sparks a question?
Sure.
Sure,
Sure.
that's fine. Did you have a question?
I did, but I don't remember what they were.
Oh man, I
Oh,
wish
I'm
you would have
sorry.
said
Yeah,
that in the
you should.
beginning.
I know.
That you should just raise your
Anybody
hand.
else have any questions or want to chime in or
Got
add
one over
anything
here.
about their experiences or sure.
So I have a fiance,
Mhm.
and the whole Me Too thing. So there's times where he wants to engage in stuff, sex stuff, and I'm not in the mood.
Mhm.
So there's been many times where I've stopped it,
Mhm.
and he will make comments. I can't remember specifics, but I've called him out on, I thought you were a feminist.
Mhm.
Feminist doesn't act like that.
Mhm.
And then he gets upset. And then I'm not going to apologize.
Right.
Because there's nothing for me to apologize
Right.
for. But then he sits in his upsetness,
Mhm.
and I'm not going to coddle you
No.
because you said you were a feminist.
Right.
This is what a male feminist needs to deal with. So, like, I just wanted to know your opinion.
Oh no, you did everything right.
Yeah,
Good.
where's the problem? Where's
You
the
know,
problem?
I mean, just if I were you, I mean, like while he's sitting in that upsetness, you know, go treat yourself. You know, get yourself something nice. Treat yourself to a nice meal, because you know, if you plan to be together a long time, he got to sit in that shit on multiple occasions. So get comfortable with it. Sometimes doing nothing is all you be like, oh, that discomfort is growth,
It really is.
and they have to sit in it. It's what you want me to sit in it like that? No, I'm not doing that shit. You know, like I mean, sit in it till you think about it. And that's the other thing. I don't think people give themselves labels like I'm an ally, I'm a this. It's like until I tell you you're one, you're not. right? So if you're a
Not
man
titles
calling
you can
yourself
give
feminist,
yourself.
like,
Yeah.
I just need to see like some letters of reference from women who are saying that you are a feminist before I'm going to call you a feminist. I
My husband would have
I
none.
have been insulted
real.
by so many allies at this point. I'm just like, you
Yeah.
know what? If you know, because what happens is they always get off the boat when it's inconvenient or uncomfortable or when there's something to lose. And a real ally will be willing to lose something.
Well,
Because you have to, because of
yeah.
privilege. Privilege means you're in a position to be an ally.
Yeah, they
so
will
if
have
you
to
really
get-
want equity,
yeah.
you're going to have to be willing to lose something.
And they have to get comfortable
Like
being
this argument.
uncomfortable. That's just it. That's it. They have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's the space that
Or
you have
don't
to live
call
in
yourself
if you're working to
an
be
ally or a feminist.
ally or feminist. That's real.
But you did everything right. I'm very proud of you.
You did. Good job.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I would say is, if you're going to be in a long-term relationship, become a master at awkward silence.
This is the master right here.
Oh, yes.
Awkward silence
Woo!
does not bother me in the least.
Her awkward
I can't.
silences start to bother me.
Yeah.
Like I'd be like, are you just not gonna talk to him? We're just gonna act like that's not happening. Okay.
I'm awkward silence. I'm a master at awkward silence.
Woo.
But the other question is, what feelings come up for you when that happens?
I get frustrated that I'm a teacher. I teach communication, and so like we have conversations, and I don't want to have to go into teacher lady mode.
Right.
Right.
Or like a
Oh, but you will.
master's degree, but
Oh, but you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I get annoyed, and then I'm kind of like looking around, like, is anyone watching this? Like, no,
Yeah.
we're in our bedroom. Like,
Yeah.
you're mad at me because I don't want to do something.
Yeah,
But it's like, Okay, all right. No one's watching. This isn't a TV show.
Yeah.
The peanut gallery's input.
Well, I think that's good that that the feelings that come up for you, like you don't necessarily feel a need to coddle that or to make that okay. I think that that's really good, because I do think as women, we're nurtured to coddle that or to try to make it okay or to try to ease it or to try to explain it. So I think it's good that you don't
Keep the peace.
to keep the peace, that you don't feel like there's a need to do that. But there's really nothing, I don't think there's any work that you can do on your part. That's work for him to do on his part.
I do think it's a conversation that can be had when you are not in that space in that moment. When he's done sulking, then you can have a conversation about, okay, listen. These are some of the ground rules of this relationship. These are things that we're okay with and things we're not okay with. And one of the things you got to be okay with is my body, my decision. You know what I mean? And can you agree? Can we have some agreements here? Can you agree that, it's your issue?
See, then they agree, and what happens is
I mean, but you make
then
the
that
agreement
like
so you can
inner
refer to them
toddler
later.
comes out,
Yeah.
and then it gets ridiculous. It's like, no, like, wait a minute, didn't we talk about this? Yeah, but now it's different. Why is it like you just feel like you're talking to a 5-year-old all of a sudden? It's like all that rational guy you were talking to before is like gone. You know what I'm saying? So I agree that until they're in that other
Nekisha
space.
said you should use
Oh,
I felt like
see.
that we hit home a little bit. I
Yeah,
felt like you
it
got
sounded
a
like
little-
it hit home.
I felt
No,
like that
I'm being
was-
real. Okay, here's what I'm
Okay.
saying.
You're like
Yeah, I
reenacting
see.
a whole
I'm saying-
scenario there.
Yeah, that was a whole scene.
I'm saying that I do think you talk about it again when they're rational, but I do think that the thing you said about being a teacher, yeah, I'm a therapist in that space. Like, you are going to have to bring that into space, and it's frustrating because, like, you have to do it over and over and over again and remind them of the agreement. And because it's just, what happens is that when the privilege kicks in, and this is with anybody, when the privilege kicks in, privilege is denial. Like, it's a big wall of denial, rationalization, all the defense mechanisms you can think of start to fly out. Deflection, projection, like all that. That's what you come up with when you run up against privilege in any situation. So that's what comes back up, and it does remind you very much of a 2-year-old, because 2-year-olds are very privileged. You saw Beyonce had to get out that juice box for Blue Ivy in the middle of her awards, right? I'm at the awards, I still gotta make you a juice box privilege. And that wasn't like, baby, rich privilege. That was like, I'm a kid, you my mama privilege, right? So it's very similar. Whenever you hit privilege, all those mechanisms start coming at you, and because you're like, this doesn't make no sense, right? So it is a thing of like, you're battling the privilege over time, and it took time for that to get in place, and it's going to take time for it to go down.
And I do think the thing that the Me Too movement has done is that it has unromanticized relationship. You know what I'm saying? Because we're going to have some unsexy conversations, right? Like someone was saying, oh my God, if I had to wait, if I had to say yes at every step of whenever I wanted to have a sex with a guy, I would still be a virgin. You know what I'm saying? So, it's not the sexiest thing unless you listen to the song Permission by Ro James.
I haven't heard that one.
Oh, now that could be a Me Too theme song. Because with everything he asks, he says, with your permission, do you mind if I touch you? Can I get
So
a
he
little
makes it
something?
sexy.
He makes it sexy. He makes it sexy. So maybe that could start off a playlist, you know? And so, maybe you say, okay, so when you're in the
A few
mood,
songs in
put
mind for
on,
that one.
when you're in the mood, put on Permission. And if I say turn that shit off, then you know. You hadn't even touched me. You hadn't even got excited, like you know from jump. I ain't with it today. But we're going to have a lot of unsexy conversations, because when you see it on TV and the first time that, a couple has sex is so romantic, everybody's consenting, and the real talk is the first time you have sex, like you nervous as hell. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't know what you're doing. I mean, most people don't know what they're doing. I mean, maybe there's some experts in here who knew on the first time. But you're just going to have a lot of unsexy conversations, and but necessary conversations to kind of get this jaded, romanticized idea that we're all trying to live up to in relationship, and it really doesn't work that way. It really doesn't work that way. But Permission, Ro James.
I have a question. I'm going to try to articulate it to the best of my ability. So you have, you brought up sexual promiscuity for women, how it's frowned upon.
Pussy prosperity. I'm gonna trademark that.
He did not want to say that term yet.
It's okay. It's okay. Free yourself. Free yourself.
How do you feel about how now women maybe possibly feel the need to be cutthroat in the work environment, or feel the need, or feel that promiscuity is okay? Not saying that it's not. That's not
Whatever.
the issue. But what I'm saying is that there's, and this is the most fascinating question because of the type of value you place on certain actions. But how do you feel about women who feel that now it's their turn to take on this role of like maybe hypersexuality or hyper X, because that's the type of privilege that men have been afforded, and so now that is the type of a mindset that they need to be in, instead of making men realize that the values that women have prospered are actually a lot better, like community and communication, empathy, and things like that. How do you feel that women should seek out like this cutthroat kind of like animosity between themselves, which is not widespread by any means? I don't make that claim, but simply, like, what is your opinion, I guess?
Did you want to start, Nekisha? No, you said, I would say, in all the isms, you have to be careful not to become your oppressor. What I think in all these spaces people are asking for is to just come in as themselves, And so, if a woman is, we have a friend. It don't get no more sexual than that. I mean, she is, baby, that one right there.
And I don't call it promiscuity. She free with it.
No, listen, no.
She's just free with it.
She free with it, but I be like, Bookie,
She
I need
just
you
free
to
with
give
it.
me some notice if you gonna disappear on me.
That's true.
15
That's
minutes,
true. She
and we
has
here
been
together,
known
and
to
you done gone
disappear.
off. Like,
Like, girl, where you been? I got my titty sucked in the bathroom. We selling t-shirts.
For real. Like, is that
It's a
no, it's for
fundraiser.
real. And
Actual
don't think
story
a damn thing
that
about
actually
it,
happened.
right? So, but
Come on, girl. You know you like to have your titties sucked.
But-
Not right now.
But the thing about her is, and we always talk about this, it's never come as a reaction to anything going on with men.
It's just who she is.
It's always just been like honoring how she feels. She's just always been in her body that way. And so what we have to evaluate is our intention, and is it aligned with who we are. Because some of us are more sexual than others, and some of us are more aggressive than others. I think all of us have, we talk about gender as a spectrum that goes in more directions than we can actually count, more than these binaries that we talk about. But what that also means is that, like, we're percentages of all of it, right? And so it's about the ability to express all of that, And so I think, like, if we're doing anything in any of these isms in reaction to and the oppressive group, then we're wrong. It's going to hurt us in the long run. But if we're doing it because this is what we do when we're in a liberated space, this is how we feel, and this is what comes natural to us in a liberated space, then go get your titties sex. I mean, do what you gotta do. I mean, she's free with it. But so that's the difference. And the people have to be really clear on those intentions. And we talk a lot about being healthy within movements, not bringing your pain and your trauma into movements. Because if you do, then you really poison the well, and you don't know anymore why you're fighting for what you're fighting, and you don't even know what you're fighting for. What is the goal? What do I want to feel? What does that look like, So that would be the answer for me. Is like, what are your intentions? Are you clear about that? And is this coming from a place of love for yourself or anger or pain? And those things never pan out, because at the end of the day, although we're lumped into these groups, on an individual cellular level, our healing has to happen.
And I'm always, whenever I hear that question, I'm always reminded of Audre Lorde's quote, and I may get it a little bit wrong, but you cannot use the master's tools to dismantle his house. So this movement can't be for a power grab. It can't be for us to just trade places, like, we're in power now, so we get to act as you act, because it's not necessarily that men are harmful. It's the way in which they've been nurtured and how to use power that's harmful. And that can come from, anyone. I honestly think that that was some people's issues with Hillary Clinton, is that, okay, you are a woman, but that doesn't automatically mean that you are for women or for freedom or for these ideas. Like, we just don't want, representation is important, but we just can't have someone in the position just for the sake of having someone in the position that looks like us, because that gets us nowhere. And the other part that I would agree with Thea is that you do have to be really, really clear about your intention and make sure you aren't caught in the white gaze for Black people or the male gaze, because you can still be in a position of power but still be functioning as in response to what men or what the dominant culture thinks of you or how they react. So I'm gonna act like them because I'm in power now. Then oppression never leaves in that sense.
Yeah, I have nothing responsible to add, which is why I
you waited.
deferred at first, because I was going to say, everything they said is true. It is absolutely wrong, and that that's my immediate question is, yeah, you're right, or yes. My interpretation of what you described is that is the wrong way to go about things. But my secondary answer is, but I understand. But I get it. You know what I mean? After you've been oppressed so long and been pushed down so long, when you get that little bit of power, it is so easy. It is so easy to want to take advantage of it and exploit it. So I understand how that can happen. It's real if you're unhealed. If you're unhealed. Like you said, we talk a lot about making sure that you are healed before you move forward, before you become a part of the movement and try to help others, because helping from a broken place ends up there.
I think I can understand that too, because I think once you get towards your 40s, you just get a little freer. And so, and people don't have to admit this, but I think this is true, and I'm just going to use I statements right now. For myself, if anything happens between my husband and I, like if he passes away, I have a little list. A list that I'm like,
this is recorded. Is this recorded?
This is one of those things we said. Well,
What I'm
shouldn't.
saying is, when people get a little bit freer, you know, if you've been oppressed for so long,
So now
and
he's
and,
a president.
and there are things
He is a president. You hear that?
and there are
Oppressed.
things that you wish you would have done in your 20s that you didn't get to do. You got a little list. Or
Wait,
people,
first of all,
you got a little list.
You said
You
he
might-
died. So, but then if he died, that's what liberated you from the oppression to go back. That's what you heard. I'm a
She went back to
therapist.
her
I
20s.
have active listening skills.
I use that as an example. What I'm saying is,
And then you said, because when you've been oppressed. See, I told you.
Yeah.
This is where it goes left.
You know what? You
Not
know,
when
you
you've
had
been
actually
oppressed.
already answered his question. You had done, so we can just,
no, but I'm saying on
When,
your
I think when Nekisha said it's like when you've been broke a long time, and then you get like your
Some
financial
money.
aid,
You know
and
what
like
I'm
you
saying?
could pay for your books, but like
you
damn, like
just
I've been
go
broke
to
for like
the
6
other
months, I can't
stuff.
get no shoes.
Right. And
That's
I'm
how you
just
feel.
saying- I'm just saying, maybe folks are just living in that list.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Can we edit out the part?
So give them like 6
The whole
months.
list has
You
to
feel
go.
me? Give them like 6
God
months to be
dang,
like,
she said a
maybe
lot now.
she,
List,
maybe she living in her list
oppression,
right now.
death.
You know what I'm saying?
This is like an episode of
No.
Law and Order SVU.
I don't mean that he's oppressing me because I wasn't with him in my 20s. But it's just stuff I didn't do in my 20s because I wasn't as free. And now that I'm free, I'm not in
After
a
the death.
I'm
Yeah,
not
after
in
the
a
death.
I'm not
Yes,
in
yes,
a
yes.
I'm not in
Is
a
there another
polyamorous
question?
relationship.
No, I
Is
think,
there
I
another
think
question?
we're up on time.
I'm just saying.
I think we're up on time.
I'm
That
just
was
saying.
We can
give
do one more
them 6
question? Okay,
months.
she said we
That's
could do
all
one
I'm
more
saying.
question.
Any more questions? There was another?
We can take one more, unless there's no more.
You know you got a question.
From what you said earlier about, her, like, not wanting to use her teacher voice and you being a therapist, like, trying to refrain from using your own profession in relationships, I want to be a marriage and family.
Just don't tell nobody. Just don't lie. Tell them that you are a professional figure skater. That's the word of God. The moment you say you're a therapist, you're like, but you're the therapist. You're supposed to listen. Not here. But yeah, you want to be a therapist?
Yeah, marriage and family therapy.
Ooh.
Like, part of me worries about, like, oh, what if, like, my relationships, like, don't pan out? What if, like how am I supposed to, like, help other people?
Oh, girl, that makes you even better. That makes you even better. Like, so, our profession isn't about being, we're not experts at, like, getting it right. What we're good at is creating safe spaces for people to come in and self-heal. And we're good at, like, sort of, like, decreasing our ego so that people can come into the space and do the work that they need to do. We're good at recognizing patterns of behavior, things of that nature. But that's also because the space is rather impersonal. It's interesting to be a therapist because it's extremely intimate, but it's also very depersonalized because we have to be a blank space for whoever's coming in. So we have to keep a certain emotional distance from the work while being very emotionally present. I mean, it's a very interesting way to function, and it wears you out sometimes too, because sometimes you get like more invested. But you can't bring that home. And I don't tell them, like even your whole family, like they'll be like, call your sister. She going through something. You were a therapist. And you be like, but I'm off, and y'all ain't paying me. You know what I'm saying? But she has been that. She knows when I get the call, she be like, my God, you get those calls.
Yeah,
and I just sit there and I go in. It's like the other thing is you'll instantly go into therapy mode. You don't mean it like you go into teacher mode. It's like what you do. So you kind of go into it on accident and you're just like, tell me more about that. So how did that make you feel? I mean, you don't want to, but it's kind of like your default. But you got to watch it. Like you're not their therapist. You tell them get your own fucking therapist. You pay for that shit, and then you come home and you be right. Set a boundary.
And is it like, because I've thought of, my mom goes to therapy and my brother, and like I've thought about going to therapy also, but like I feel like is that weird? Like
No, I get MFT students and MSW students all the time. In fact, I think you get clinical hours. It counts towards your clinical hours if you come in for therapy. Yeah, so it actually, back in the day, I don't know what it is now, but you would get triple. So if you went in for 1 hour, you would get credit for 3 hours. So it helps with your clinic. They want you to. They want you to know your shit.
And we want our therapists to be okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
And
I
they
wanna-
want the
them to-
therapist
yeah,
to
I
know.
want a therapist who went to
Because
therapy.
you get triggered, there's a lot of countertransference and things like that. So we want to thank you all for having us. I got to give a shout out to my boo Sydney here. So y'all got her from us. My boo was the bomb at Cal State LA. It ain't been the same since she left. And you all have her, and I'm so glad you're taking good care of her. But we want to thank the Women's Resource Center. We want to thank all of you all for coming, for
Thank
engaging, for asking
you.
questions. All of our stuff can be at Dem Black Mamas. Our email at demblackmamas at gmail. So any questions we didn't get to answer here, please feel free to email us.
And follow us and like us on our
Yeah, we like that
social
too.
media.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Namaste.
Yeah. Namaste.
Namaste. We always end with namaste. Namaste. Namaste.
Namaste.
Like 7 of them, all of them.